Hello everybody. I'm hoping you can give me 10 minutes just for another update. What I want to do today is talk specifically about the business change work we were doing with our partners BGSS in the emergency department in Ysbyty Glenclwyd. We were supposed to do some level of work in Ysbyty Gwynedd and Wrexham Mylor as well, but lessons learned, we maybe should have spent a lot more time in those areas for this piece of work. However, as you know, one of the things we're going to make sure we do in future when we develop business cases for new programs and projects, we're going to build in the cost of the business change. We're going to build in the necessary capacity and resource so that we're able to work with the service to understand how the service can potentially be redesigned to fit in with the technology if we're buying a package or something which is a bit more restricted in terms of what changes we can make, or we work with the service themselves, whether it's clinicians, operational staff, or whatever, on the ground, in terms of potentially looking at redesigning the service that we can design the technology around. The important thing there is that having worked with people, we've got more chance that benefits will be realised from our technology investment. This piece of service design work specifically looked at the ED department, the emergency department, and the reason for that, it was under the Special Measures Banner. The Special Measures Banner 2.7, which is to address the issues of fragmented care records. It was our observations, Ambu, myself and the other clinicians, that there are lots of examples of fragmented care records, paper and the like, and you might have seen the videos that we did a few months back of fragmented care records across ED, which caused problems and issues with flow, safety, and the time it takes for clinicians to deal with patients. Therefore, as part of that piece of work, we felt that it would be good to do a pilot or a proof of value across the ED department. That is, do a bit of service design work across ED alone, look for where there are opportunities to join systems up, and potentially do some tactical work to improve things in ED as an example of a wider case to expand out maybe to an integrated electronic patient record solution for the health board, to use ED almost as a test case or a proof of value case. However, when we did the service design piece, first of all, the feedback we've had on the service design piece, a few people involved in this piece of work, Alan Vaughan Roberts, Ellen Treble-Jones, Sean Jones, John Thomas, the whole Phil Coughlin-Lewis, James Sattel, Shaz, loads of people involved from our teams in terms of engaging with people on the ground, and now Anna Holmes is on the helm in terms of project managing some of this work. One of the key things we wanted to do was try to learn from the service design expertise from BGSS, which is what we tried to do. The people from BGSS we used, this is them. We had Kat Murray-Clark and Julia Silver, who were both a user researcher and a service designer. They did a lot of observation work on the ground. They spend some significant time in the ED department doing observations, interviewing people, and applying various tools and techniques, some of which we've learned from to basically capture what is happening on the ground, and from there determining where there are problems, lists of problems, and ultimately through the whole process how those problems can be converted into potential solutions or things we can do. It was incredible the amount of problems we actually identified through the piece of work. We also had Chris Gilbane and Aronia Roy, who were ultimately providing some architecture experience. They were looking at the systems in particular, and also some of our partners. So they were testing out some of the partners we've got as to whether or not they've got the means by which they can bring technology in to improve the situation we've got, and also looking at our own team and our own skills and capabilities to understand some of the gaps there. That was the group of the team, four people team there doing the work for us, and us trying to learn as much as we could from those guys. We learned in particular the use of tools. So they use this Miro board, and they use the Miro board for different parts. A Miro board, it's worth looking this up. we have invested in a couple of licenses for Miro now that we are likely to use going forward. But what you can see on this board is everything, different frames which articulate the different aspects of the program, and you can it's almost a bit of a walkthrough. So we can send you a link to this, or we'll have it in the email. So they're the goals, some assumptions that were made, people on the team who would be linked into it, some of the risks, but then also some of what was picked up from the interviews, problem statements, of which there were many, what the key improvement targets were. So as part of this project, we've used and assessed the use of some new tools and methodologies for going from problems to potential solutions and service blueprints, which is basically future fit service designs. Looks very hectic, yes it does, but at the end of the day, it's an extremely detailed piece of work, and it's concluded in ultimately some service designs for how things could be in the future, and here's some service blueprints. I won't go into those now, but long and short of it, you can see new flows of how things can happen, people working, patient journeys, things like that, which help us to design how things need to be going forward in future. The interesting thing was that actually a lot of the things that came out were non-IT related, and that's the important thing about doing some service design work. You don't do service design looking for a particular solution. You do service design with a clean slate, really, and you try to ascertain what the problem is by listening to people, talking with people, and observing what's going on. A lot of the problems which are raised, which need to be resolved, are actually non-technology based, and we've got a list of all of those. And in some cases, they were problems that have been there for a while. So actually, it might be other people in the health board which might help to resolve those things, but nevertheless, when it comes to making improvements, tactical improvements for the next 6 to 12 months in ED, it was interesting to note that the amount of things we wouldn't have thought of if we'd just gone and installed or implemented a technology. We were very clear what the problems were that needed to be solved and what the next steps were in terms of things that we needed to sort out. It's not to say there's no technology answers. There are technology answers, but we're not too sure from a priority point of view that many of these will be around the aspects of an integrated care record as a priority. Not to say that those problems aren't there, and those problems aren't there, and those solutions aren't ones that we should be looking at for the more medium to long term. It's really important that we don't lose that. The feedback from the team. Well, I've got feedback from a lot of team members involved in it. People thought it was invaluable in terms of an understanding of the real life issues in ED. There was a feeling that we'd never got that detail. We'd never got a lot of what was discovered without doing a piece of work like this. I think the big thing for me is that some of our guys hopefully have picked up some of this. We can start using tools like Miro, perhaps, if that's worthwhile. Some good tools there, some good methods. So I'm hoping we can learn a lot from that. So the conclusion is now is that ultimately Sean, Anna, Alan Vaughan Roberts, Ellen, Kai, the team are looking in detail at what are the steps that we're going to take going forward. Actually, we need to consult with the different teams. We need to go back and make sure that from a trust point of view, it's really important that we follow up now. There was one of the themes from the floor, which is something we must make sure we sort out in future. One of the themes from the floor was that, people have come to us before, they've made suggestions, made recommendations, and nothing ever happens. We talk to people, but it's a waste of time. Nothing's ever going to change. So again, it's important that we get back to those people on the ground, even if it's to say that we're not going to do something because we can't afford it or whatever the reason. It's really important that we've got that feedback for everyone. So all in all, I think a good learning experience. What I'd like people to do is, if they're interested in this type of thing, really like people to, ask, Ellen, Kai, Aline Vaughan Roberts, Anna, anyone involved, myself, if you want an update on any of this sort of stuff, it's something to worth learning about. There's lots of tools in terms of service design. Appreciate it takes years of experience, but there's some really good materials here that we can use. A lot of detail, yeah, but very structured in terms of the approach, the prioritization, and how it came up with the ultimate service design. I'm hoping that will bring some significant benefit because it's based on what's actually happening, not what we imagine is happening. So thanks very much for listening to that. We will be providing a report as part of the special measures thing, just as another sideshow. There is, I did do a report to execs. We know we're in the middle of all sorts at the moment. I'm worried that DDAT is not getting sufficient focus at the senior level at the moment because there's a lack of a fully operational board and committees. But I did provide, which is this paper here, I don't know why I'm flicking on it. I did provide an update to the exec. Really keen to get to board with where we are with changes in our operating model. Obviously, where we are with the there's the headings there of the different sections. Where we are with the essential services program, the concern with the cuts in funds in that regard. What we're doing with our HIMSS and classwork, all of that. So all of that's there. So if people want to have a read of that, then please give me a shout. We can share the report or speak to your teams. You can get that. It talks about our changing service model. It talks about everything really, what's going on, our risks. It talks about everything that's happening. Next time, what I plan to do is do a turn on what we're doing, well, with Catherine. Catherine's on holiday at the minute. What we're going to do about our intelligent-led organisation stream, so how we're raising our maturity and using data and intelligence to make better decisions, proactive decisions, etc. So just give a quick overview on where we are with some of that and the importance of that. I hope you've enjoyed this. If you want to learn more, please get in touch, and thanks for everything you're doing.